Okay, Mitch, there you are. Want to come on up? Mitch Radakovich chairs All Aboard Ohio, Friends in Ohio, leading advocacy for passenger rail and multimodal access statewide. Cincinnati native, transportation data scientist at Procter & Gamble. He combines technical expertise with grassroots organizing. Clearly a kindred soul to our friend Dr. John Christoph. So please welcome Mitch Radakovich. I'm so sorry.
No, you did. That was pretty good.
Okay, there we go. Good day.
I have heard many, many pronunciations of my name in my years so far, so that was quite good. So thank you everybody for welcoming me here today. I'm going to be sharing a bit about advocacy with All Aboard Ohio. Oh, there we go. I think. Okay. So yes, I'm Mitch Radakovich. I'm the board chair. I live in Cincinnati, and I'm also an Ohio State graduate. So apologies for the beginning of the Longhorn season, but you know, it is what it is. Today we are going to review the current state of rail in Ohio. I think Caroline did an excellent job of describing what happened between the 70s to get to today. I'm going to pick up at today in the dark ages. Then we'll share a vision for rail in Ohio that is being enabled by a lot of the work at the federal level from the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act. We'll then go through All Aboard Ohio itself, what our foundation was, what we've worked on in the past, and then what our advocacy strategy is looking into the future. And we're really, really excited about how our advocacy strategy has evolved and continues to evolve looking forward. Lastly, we'll talk a little bit about reapplying that advocacy in other states across the country. I know there's tremendous work that's being done, and I've learned some awesome things today already from advocates in other states. So I want to share what our lessons are, and then I challenge everybody to come and find me afterwards and teach me your lessons for me, right? So just as a bit of background, All Aboard Ohio was founded in 1973. We've been advocating for passenger rail for over 50 years. Which, believe it or not, is longer than I have been alive. And we exist to advocate for the establishment, improvement, and maintenance of a robust transportation system with passenger rail at its backbone. So we start where we currently are, which is Ohio's passenger rail in the dark ages. There was a point in time when we had hundreds of trains going across our state every single day. And currently where we sit are trains that only come through Ohio in the middle of the night. If you see the bottom right, it's a little small. This is the Cincinnati station, mine and Ryan's home station. Our station hours are 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. So when we were at the San Antonio station, we were actually jealous of the 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. Time frame. But still, people do ride the trains in Ohio, and for many of the reasons that we've already talked about today. The current, just for a bit of a snapshot of where we are, hopefully. I think it took a nap again. Thank you. So we currently have 3 routes going through Ohio. We have the Cardinal route that goes from the East Coast through Cincinnati on its way through Indianapolis to Chicago. That's 3 days a week. And so it's kind of like a budget airline where you have to plan your trip around which days the train goes. Then we also do have 2 daily services that go across our North Shore, the Lakeshore Limited and the Floridian. We believe, though, that we are now ascending out of the dark ages and into a period of renaissance in Ohio. And we believe that for a number of reasons. First is all of the stuff that's been set in motion by the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act, Corridor ID, which we'll talk in depth on today, the conversations on long distance routes, which bring additional connections that don't exist in Ohio right now, but also the growth that we're seeing in existing Amtrak and things that we can improve there, and the growth that we've seen in local connectivity with major new projects happening in all of our major cities relating to higher frequency rapid transit. So to start, though, once in a lifetime, I don't need to educate everybody here on this, but we have the Corridor ID program. And yes, this slide has been used to explain to people who have never heard of the Corridor ID program, right? And I think that's an important point. Part of the bipartisan infrastructure law supporting state development of state-sponsored routes, and obviously a multi-step approach that we are all walking through together. These are our three main proposed corridors in Ohio. We have the one that makes the news the most, which is the 3C and D, connecting Cincinnati, Dayton, Columbus, and Cleveland, with some stops in some pretty major smaller cities as well. Then we have the Cleveland, Toledo, Detroit route, and the Midwest Connect route, which would go from Chicago through Fort Wayne, through Columbus, and then on its way to Pittsburgh. Just as an update, phase 1 has been submitted for, I believe, all three of the routes. So we're quite happy with that. Now on to All Aboard Ohio itself. So like I said, our history, we were founded in 1973 in Xenia, Ohio, picking up some of the pieces from passenger rail's golden age and trying to hold them together as we have gone through this relatively dark time. But it's an organization which not only focused on advocacy, but I think this is extremely important, also focused on camaraderie, right? 2 Christmas times ago, I went through every single set of minutes from the 50 years of All Aboard Ohio. I had them all set up in my mom's living room. She was angry at me because it was not the not the Christmas decorations she was looking for. But what I'll say is the number of breakfasts I saw at a place called Bun's Restaurant, where people are getting together and planning for the future. Like, there were friendships being formed that I know, and I still talk with these guys. I see them today, and I think that was very important. We actually started called the Ohio Association of Railroad Passengers, and then at some point, which Stu will be able to probably give you the exact date, we changed our name to All Aboard Ohio. Over those years, some of the accomplishments that we've had was with the development of the Lakeshore Limited route, the Ohio Rail Development Commission. We advocated to bring that into existence, which is kind of our rail-specific focused state government agency. We advocated hard for the resumption of the Cardinal service in Cincinnati back in the 80s, and also pushed for multimodality at stations like Sandusky and Toledo, incorporating Greyhound service. And I do believe because of that push, that Greyhound service is still in the city centers rather than some of the other cities where it's been really hurt the past couple of years. So now All Aboard Ohio today. We are Ohio to our core. We have board members all across the state, and we'll show a map of that here in a minute. But we also have general members all across our state. We've got a little over 4,000 members. And what you're seeing on this map here, this is every single zip code in Ohio that has at least one All Aboard Ohio member. And we're so extremely proud of this, and it has become such an important advocacy tool, because when I'm talking to a representative who represents Southeast Ohio and he says, nobody in my district cares, I can pull out this map and say, nope, somebody does care. And you can do that now with every single senator in the state of Ohio and with nearly every single of our 99 representatives. We're also proud to have around 70 counties of our 88 with members. We also have put a big focus on chapter development, and we currently have chapters in all 3 of the C's, Cincinnati, Columbus, and Cleveland, also in Dayton, in Toledo, in Athens, which is the home of Ohio University. And then now, just this past month, we have started 2 new university chapters at University of Cincinnati and at Ohio State University, the Ohio State University. The last thing I'll point out is that our members are urban, suburban, rural, come from all backgrounds, and we put a big focus on making sure our board is representative of our members, but also making sure that we've improved our outreach to reach all those corners of our society. So the mission statement of All Aboard Ohio, I already said earlier, I'll reiterate though, is advocating for the establishment, improvement, and maintenance of a robust transportation system. And included within that is expanded choices, enhanced mobility, and increased access to all of those choices. We have put a lot more emphasis in the past couple of years on like every type of transportation. for the reasons that we've already talked about today. Once you make it to the station, you still have to get to grandma's house. And so we need to have a bus to get you there. In terms of our organizational values, we push for improved transportation choices for all. It's kind of fun when I'm talking to some of my conservative friends and they push back and I say, this is actually like, this is a conservative libertarian issue. We don't want the government telling us you will drive a car. We want the government to say, here's some choices. Go make your choice, American, right? That's what we want as Americans, is to be able to choose. We put an emphasis on statewide collaboration, bringing local and state leaders from across the state, whether that's in government or in business or in our communities, together to push for a better future in Ohio. We put a lot of effort into community empowerment as well. Something we see right now, that the number one kind of pushback we hear when we talk about the future of passenger rail in Ohio is that is not possible in Ohio. Like, people do not think it is politically possible. And to me, that's heartbreaking. I'll have in a couple of slides, there was an Ohio Department of Transportation study, 80% of Ohioans want passenger rail. So people aren't like arguing against the idea of passenger rail. They're arguing against the idea that their elected leaders are going to listen to them. And so we believe that if we work hard to empower all of the people in Ohio, we think we can see change not only in the conversation of passenger rail, we can see the change in people caring more about their state, people knowing that they can stand up and speak out, and we think we can see big things come from that. So a big focus, not only on that empowerment, but on us being the catalyst for the change that empowerment is going to spark. And so we'll talk more in a minute on that. In terms of our chief strategy, All Aboard Ohio works to bring together stakeholders and influential coalitions to take advantage of the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act has brought about via the Corridor ID funding. We specifically are acting as a liaison between the different members of our coalition so that we can achieve that vision of uniting our leadership together to navigate the program. And actually, so this is an example of a social media post where we went through a lot of the different groups across Ohio who spoke in favor of passenger rail. And for the first time, we believe ever, that included the Ohio Chamber of Commerce, the statewide Chamber of Commerce. So how do we actually achieve those past couple of slides that I laid out? We believe that we need to have a strong strategy to go and achieve the outcomes that we want. And going with this, it's kind of working smarter, not harder, right? There are, as long as we take the step back and we think through what are the steps we're going to have to do to achieve our goals, then we can think with that open growth mindset, try something new, and find the easiest way to get something done. So first, in terms of our organizational structure, like I said, we have around 4,000 members right now. We have 15 board members who are spread across the state. We have 2 paid staff, and then we have around 15 what I like to call super volunteers. These are folks who sometimes are working even more volunteer hours than our board members, right? And they're doing things like running our social media and our communication strategies, doing things like leading our chapters, taking folks on field trips across the country, things like that. Then additionally, we have our chapters. These are our 2 staff. Want to give a quick shout out. John Esterly is our executive director, and Beth Russell is our communications director. And we work really hard as well to make sure there's a good communication pipeline between our staff and between our board, because we have such a hands-on board as well. In terms of our board, again, all across the state, we're very proud that as time has gone on, our board continues to be more and more representative of the state that we're representing. We are currently at 50-50 representation in terms of gender, and we're putting a lot more focus on reaching communities that have not been reached in the past by the passenger rail community. This is an example of one of our volunteers volunteering. We are doing lots of things like tabling, which I was really excited to see the San Antonio Rail Group as well doing. Getting out into the public, because right now when you talk to Ohioans, their first thought when they hear the word transportation is car. And so just even the idea of throwing, like train is a thing. Train is a thing. Train is a thing. Just keep throwing it at them. And so the more present that we are, we're starting to see results. So once we had that organizational setup set up, we get together as a board for strategic planning. So what we did here, the first thing we did was we evaluated those organizational values that I put on a slide earlier, right? So these are the things that are at the backbone of everything we do. And it's why I'm doing it. I mean, somebody said it earlier. Yes, we like the trains, right? But we also really, really care about Ohio. We care about our neighbors. We care about our cities. And so making sure that what we are really here for is at the core in everything that we do. So from those values, then we redefined our mission, we redefined our goals. We made sure that those goals are SMART goals that are measurable and are short term and that we can check in on routinely to make sure we're still going in the right direction. And then we set in place a process for evaluating how we're performing and achieving those goals, and we revisit that strategic plan annually. Our strategic plan covers two spheres. The first sphere is our internal strategy. So this is when we're in the State House in Columbus, when we're working in city halls across our state, building up the stakeholder coalition, kind of being in the room where it happens, essentially, right? This is where funding decisions are being made. This is where definitions of what the law is going to allow you to do are being written. And so we put a lot of focus of either us being in the room or when there are times when we're not invited yet, making sure we have friends who are in the room. On the second side, we have external strategy, which is changing public opinion when it comes to transportation. We want people, when they hear the word transportation, no longer to think car, like I said. We want them to think train. We want them to think bus. We want them to think bikes. We want them to think walking. We want them to think choices, right? We put a big emphasis on media as a way to get the public's opinion to change there. We have an extensive involvement on social media. I think we're on 9 different platforms now, and we have done a complete rebrand. We've redone our website, and we've also continued to foster the relationships with traditional media as well. And then focus on grassroots and on our chapters, because those are the folks who are going to be boots on the ground, actually interacting with the public every single day. There's only one of me. There are a lot of Ohioans, I think like 11 million. So I can't talk to all of them, unfortunately. I wish I could. I don't know if they wish that I could, but. So we'll focus, double click on the internal strategy to start. I already talked this a minute ago, so I'm going to skip it. The state of Ohio. The current state of Ohio, first of all, in terms of organization, we have 1 governor, 33 senators, and 99 representatives in our state government. We're very thankful for the Rail Passengers Association, who takes a big effort at the federal level for us. So we only have to focus on, our contingent at the federal level. We have budgets that come out every 2 years, which are obviously very important in terms of how we're going to be moving forward with our projects. And then we have ODOT, which is our Department of Transportation, but then the specific organization that focuses on rail, both freight and passenger, is called the Ohio Rail Development Commission. And I'll be honest, the majority of the focus is on freight rail right now, even though the mission is 50-50. We continue to hammer that, and the media is actually very interested that the mission is not matching the actions. Lastly, we have bipartisan support. I will say it's lukewarm because we don't have 100% support, right? But we do have bipartisan support, including this past year at our annual meeting, we had the fiscally conservative chair of the House Transportation Committee spoke and was talking about how we need to rally the troops. That's pretty exciting. In terms of our legislative actions, we are frequently at the State House giving testimony on both sides of the State House. We also work to empower our general membership to give public comment, whether that's in person, online, via email, via phone calls. It really has mattered. And we've had multiple times now where we've been able to mobilize people in the hundreds or even the thousands to speak out on issues, and we have seen movement. An example is in the past budget, There was nothing for passenger rail included in the House's version of the budget. We started an onslaught, and by the time that final House version of the budget got passed, the passenger rail stuff was in it. We also put a big focus, though, on education within our government. So building individualized relationships, just like Sart was sharing earlier, with each of the different representatives. We know that they all tick differently. They all have different reasons for why they're there, and they all have different backgrounds, right? And so we put a lot of effort into researching them, to understanding what their backgrounds are. Is it more valuable for me to go in and talk to them about economics? Is it more important for me to talk about rural connectivity? Is it important for me to talk about getting folks connected to the VA, to talk about disability rights? There's all kinds of different issues that could apply, and we truly believe that every single person has at least one of them. To assist in this, we have a research committee who are tremendous, and they do a lot of digging to understand who are these people, why are they there, like I said, and then they can give that to our folks on the advocacy wing to go and step into the room. An example of when we stepped into the room was our advocacy day this year, where we had advocates from our coalition across the state. We met with 65 senators and representatives in a single day, which was pretty cool, I will say. We were very proud of that. Another thing that we did was we have continued to build our communication strategy, the internal strategy as well. An example of this is our advocacy book, which Ryan designed. And this is one of the fundamental tools that we use to put a visual in the minds of government folks when we're talking to them. So within this, we have things like all of the maps that the proposed routes include, but we also have things like testimonials, which we've collected from our general membership. On our website, we have a section that says, what would passenger rail mean to you? And we've gotten hundreds of submissions over the past year. In this book, we have 4 of our favorite submissions, and we actually put a face to the name. We put the map of where that individual would take the train if it existed, and we are really pointed so that we can choose one of those 4, whichever one is going to apply most to the representative that we're talking to. And if you're interested, you can go on our website, allaboardohio.org/runsonrail, if you want to see the booklet. Another important part of insider strategy, though, is our local insiders. So as we all know, even if we do get the Herculean task of getting the State House 100% on board, we need to have all of our local cities, counties, metropolitan planning organizations all in lockstep in our coalition. Equally important is the involvement of our local businesses as well. So our work to get all of the chambers of commerce signed on to build out our list of businesses, because we want to have, similar to one member in every Senate and Representatives district, we want to have at least one small business in every district, and at least one business insider in every district, right? Who are the business leaders when I hear a senator say my businesses don't want this? Who is the person that's actually whispering in their ear saying I don't want this? And let's figure out who that is. Again, search committee, very important. Again, foundational for our coalition, and it also allows us then to target the local issues when there is a bus rapid transit levy that's on the ballot. We can push for that. When there is concerns about our local bike shares being taken offline, we can fight that. And as we show up for our coalition members, then they show up for us when we need their help. So these are some examples of our advocacy partners. As you can see here, we have metropolitan, there's a lot of acronyms on here, but metropolitan planning partners, we have businesses, we have labor, we have chambers of commerce, we have universities, and we have cities, and we have other advocacy organizations all working together to get this moving forward. We cannot do this alone. We understand that. We don't have the connections. We don't have the money. We also don't have the time. Like Ryan and I both work day jobs. So it's very helpful to have partners who do have time. Now, in terms of external strategy, I, again, already kind of talked on the background. These are our chapters across the state right now. And 10. So we are now at 8 across the state. And it really is the core to grassroots activism. This is the family, right? When somebody who is curious about improving transportation in their region, these are the folks that they can actually reach out to and put a face to the issue immediately. On that first slide, I pointed out camaraderie. Most of our chapters will be hours as well. Our chapters will meet for breakfasts. And so there are true friendships that are being formed, and those friendships lead to people being more empowered to go and do something that might make them nervous, go and testify, go and talk to people in the public who they've never met before. If you're there with your friend, it's a lot easier. And so that's what our goal is we're building our front line to be able to go and engage the public. These are some examples of local issues that we've focused on. So there are, you can ride on something with wheels on a track during the daytime in Ohio, believe it or not. So in Cincinnati, we have one streetcar line, and in Cleveland, we have a heavy rail line and a couple of light rail lines. And so we're consistently pushing to improve those, but then also pushing to improve future for bus rapid transit, and then, like I said, for bike and ped as well. In terms of redefining membership, this was a major step. When you hear 4,000 folks, your eyebrow might raise, right? Because that's pretty big. And one thing that we decided to do was we now have 2 different tiers of membership. We have more the traditional membership where you are paying a set amount, and that comes with a vote for the board. It comes with, additional privileges. It also comes with financial benefits like cheaper tickets to events that we put on, things like that. But we also added a new tier that is a general member. This is pay what you can, and that could include not paying anything. And the beauty of this then is you are still a member. You're still a part of the family. And so even if you can't put money into the issue, you can put your time into the issue. And so those 1,000 people that we're calling for the budget, those are our general members. Yes, probably our paid members as well, but it makes it so much easier to get that initial foot in the door to start your advocacy journey. In terms of our public engagement strategy, we put so much time and effort into thinking about how we present ourselves to the public. Like I said earlier, that means social media, that means our website, that means our branding, that means traditional media. And so we have focused to be the leading source of passenger rail news insights within the state of Ohio. As a result of that, we have local media reaching out to us for comment, but also for information. I'm doing this story. I actually don't want to interview you, but can you show me what information I should be using for this? We also break news now, which is really cool. We've been able to do that. And so you can find us anywhere. You can find us on social media, on websites, local events, working with influencers, and more. And additionally, we make sure that we are in the community. So we're having events all across the state, and we're making sure that those events are easily accessible. So whether that means physically accessible in terms of transportation, we try to have our events be near to public transit, but also have accessible parking and also be, reasonable places. But also making sure that they're accessible in terms of people knowing that they're happening. So that means having a really good website. That means having a robust system in the back end, which we use Wix to send reminder emails that this is happening, things like that. At the core of our strategy is our communications team, which is a really awesome team that has elevated All Aboard Ohio to where it is today. You can thank these folks that you aren't looking at slides that I designed. So you can go thank Ryan after this. And yeah, if you have any questions about communications or about branding or about how to kind of get that initial momentum going in your state, be sure to ask Ryan. So yes, a big focus was on rebranding for a digital world, knowing that our advocacy has to be visible, yes, in person on print and on a projector, but also present everywhere online. And I think we are kind of at the point where pretty much everybody is online. Pretty much. I acknowledge that there are some folks who don't have access to technology, some folks who are unable to use technology, but there's a lot of people online at this point. And so the more places that they can see that map, first of all, The more places that they can see our logo, the more places that they can see I'd rather be on a train. Again, it's every single time us saying, think about a train, think about a train, think about a train. And after we do it maybe 10,000 times, maybe they're thinking about a train. I know I think about a train now. An additional exciting thing, we have a really, really cool merch store, which I recommend checking out. Like, actually pretty great stuff. Here's some examples of our social media posts. So making sure that they're eye-catching, making sure that they have a hook, right? Something that even if I'm scrolling, right, and I see something, I want to be, it needs to be so eye-catching that I can stop and actually want to double click on it. And that's how I'm going to learn more details about going on in Ohio. As a result of all the work that we've done across all of our different platforms, we reach hundreds of thousands of people every month. And that comes simply through social media engagement. But that then becomes a vital part of our membership pipeline and a vital part of our advocacy pipeline. We also redesigned our website so that it works with both mobile and with desktop versions. We make sure that it has easy access, again, to those events, to the news, access to being able to donate and become a member. One of the, the last one that we'll say on this is, even to become a member, we kind of make it like a petition at this point. So we say, show your support for passenger rail, become a member of All Aboard Ohio, but that's all we're saying. We're not even pointing to money at this point. Once we have them in the door, once we have their email, yes, we're going to, have a fundraising drive. But this is how we get so many people involved. And then this is how we do our fundraising. So again, making it be something that's exciting to be a part of. You're a part of the family. You're supporting All Aboard Ohio. In terms of traditional media, we are so proud of the presence that we've been able to make in the state of Ohio, where we have major media outlets from all of our major cities, but then also from so many of our small towns reaching out, writing stories. People are so excited. And we've gotten to the point now where we don't have to pitch stories. They know that it's going to be their most clicked on story for the week. And so they want to write it. And that's such a cool place to be. We're getting to the point where we're running out of capacity to take interviews sometimes. I also got to fulfill my bucket list dream of being able to do an interview at my local NPR station. So that's that picture. The last piece I'll say, though, is, again, we want to make it as easy as possible for the media to interact with us as well. So we have a traditional press kit that's available on the website where they can kind of get their story started even before they interview with us. So yeah, our goal is to start a movement here, making sure that members can sign up, whether that's in person at a chapter meeting or online on our website, just many ways to get involved. And so we'll finish with kind of this conversation about advocacy across America. We have such a great partner with the Rail Passengers Association, and it's so exciting to see so many other statewide organizations here today. For us, we work closely with all of these organizations in our neck of the woods. Folks in Indiana and Michigan and Pennsylvania and New York, in a lot of the routes that are connected to Ohio, but then also with our national partners like the Rail Passengers Association, like the High Speed Rail Alliance, et cetera. We believe, though, that within other statewide advocacy organizations, everybody can kind of see this ballooning resurgence of support if we follow a couple of key steps. So the first is finding passionate people who offer time. And I know a lot of folks will say this is like nearly impossible, right? The key is to be friendly, to be open, to be simple. So an example, showing up at a university. If I just walk up to random people, that's probably not going to go so well, right? What I could do, though, is I show up on the quad and I have a map of the proposed train lines. I also have a whiteboard. If this existed, would it improve your life? Yes or no? The map is awesome. So that's going to catch people's eyes. And they're going to come over and talk to us. And then all of a sudden, I'm starting to find passionate individuals. This is an example of working smarter, not harder. Let them come to us. And we're seeing that now with our social media, we see people who jump from social media to our website, sign up, give us $100, come to our events, call their senator, like literally all of that even have amounts of effort in now. And so that only was possible though because of the strategy work that we put in at the beginning to think of that pipeline. So there we go. Strategy at the core has now been covered in that statement. Working smarter, not harder. And then the last piece, and this is also so important, every type of person. So again, being sure that we're reaching groups that are traditionally not being reached out to by our advocacy community. That means folks in Southeast Ohio for us a lot, where traditionally the rail lines that are being proposed are not going through right now. And us thinking, okay, even if we know that a rail line down there is going to be a long shot, what can we do to advocate for their connectivity right now? Right. And the more of those passionate people offering time that you have entering the fray, the more people that you can put towards answering those questions and thinking spiral where all you can see in the future is an exciting future. So how you can help us in Ohio, you can visit All Aboard Ohio, always open to donations, but specifically asking that you sign our supporters list. You do not have to be in Ohio, and it actually is really helpful when we have folks outside of Ohio who have joined our supporters list, because that means that we can point to especially our federal delegation and say Ohio is actually holding the rest of America back a lot of the times. I'm sure that Jim has thoughts on this, right? But right now, in order to get from the Northeast Corridor to Chicago, unless if somehow we start some great partnership with Canada, probably going through Ohio. So we need y'all's support. And yes, actually, we do say y'all in Cincinnati. But um, so yeah, we need the support from everybody around this country to say rail matters in Ohio to me as well, even if I live in Massachusetts or in Missouri, right? So follow our social media, and then last but not least, get involved with the partner organization in your state. Stay involved with Rail Passengers Association, of course, but being involved in the boots on the ground grassroots advocacy as well is so important. And yeah, so happy to answer any questions. I think I got a couple minutes.
So we have time for probably 3 questions. I'm going to start with Bob.
Okay. Thank you. Very informative. I'm Robert Flynn, the Alaska representative. Do you find that you're able to convert your general members over time into paying members? And does that significantly increase the association's revenue?
I think it's an excellent question. One thing I'll say in terms of revenue, because we're very aware of that, right? You need money to do anything. We've put a lot more focus on diversifying our revenue streams as well. I will answer your question. I'll do that first, actually. Yes, we have seen being able to get folks who have just gotten their foot in the door go along our pipeline, both in terms of putting more of their talents in terms of hours, but also putting their money in. And when we have routine events like our Giving Tuesday fund drive, like our paid membership drives, those are times when we're able to encourage people to take the next step. The other thing I'll say there is by even being a general member, they're getting at least 2 communications a month from us, and they're seeing how professional our organization is. They're seeing all the work that we're doing, and they're getting really excited about the work that we're doing. And I don't know about you, but like I get very excited when I see Jim on a train going and like actually being out there. And so it's the same kind of thing. If we're showing that we're doing stuff, people are much more likely to send their money. Sorry, the last piece on that, in terms of the revenue streams, though, Ohio Chamber of Commerce has spoken in favor of this. They know that right now we're doing free work for them. And we know that too, but they know it. And so being able to go and say, hey, we're doing this work right now. We need your support as well. That's one of our big goals for the second half of the year.
It seems to me one of your big ambitious, goals is just to tell people in Ohio, imagine a state where fewer people were on the interstates, and it seems like you've got something in common with Texas, where, you know, one of the big economic drivers in the state of Texas is the trucking industry. And the Ohio Trucking Association is a really active lobby in Columbus. I mean, have you thought of approaching them with the idea that, you know, imagine a safer world for your truckers and for your truck lines where you're less exposed to claims because there's fewer people on the roads? Has that been an advocacy partner for y'all at all?
Yeah. So a lot of focus on us. I mean, especially our friends in the State House, different organizations and groups that, you know, also stand to benefit from a different type of vehicle not being on the highway, right? I don't know specifically for the trucking industry, but what I will say is we have groups like the hospitality industries. We have groups like local tourism industries, but then also kind of thinking outside the box, groups like the banking industry who are going to benefit from, you know, I forget the specific term, but, you know, like giving the money that eventually is going to get paid back. Like there, yeah, right. Well, yes, I know the word interest for the record, but making sure that all of those different groups who also have people that they're paying to be in the State House are on our side, absolutely critical. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Hector. I'm originally from far out El Paso, Texas, but I've been in San Antonio for the past 4 years for college. And I just wanted to tell you and anyone else from all aboard Ohio to applaud the work you're doing via social media. Your presence has really been felt throughout the mobility community online. And I think it's really something to look up. Just, I guess the work you're doing really opening the eyes of all the people who are my age, who have never known anything else in the US apart from cars. Drive to school, drive back. You want to hang out? Sorry, ask your mom for a ride to the froyo place. I don't know. But the work you're doing to open up the eyes of young people to see, hey, you could go to Austin to an Austin FC game, come back to a Spurs game, and still have a reliable and efficient way to get home. So just the work you're doing online is really helping younger generations learn about the possibilities that they have never learned about.
Awesome. I'm getting chills. So again, shout out to Ryan for all the work that he's put in. Be sure to ask him questions as well. The thing I'll say there, though, this is effort that we're putting in for Ohio, and yet it's going to be paying dividends for SART. So if y'all do it too, that's going to help us. And I know you are, right?
SART, I'm following you on Instagram, and I didn't even know SART had an Instagram page, but I now remember. Just overall, it's a really tight.
I love that so much. So, and I think that rising tide raises all ships.
Well, and let's just be real, right? This is the power of grassroots. This is how grassroots works, right? And that's the whole point of it. It's got to come from the bottom up and grow together in a very thick network. So, Ron.
It's Ron Schneider from Louisville. I just read last night that the on Environmental Law and Policy Center's website that your rail plan is being approved right now, and that it does not include anything about passenger. We just did ours, and it was a disaster. And also, what's the status of taking the Cardinal? I should say nightly instead of daily, since it comes through Kentucky and Cincinnati at night. But so, what's the status on that? So and the rail plan.
First, for the rail plan, one of the things we also need to do in our space is spin. There's 15 pages, right? There's one chapter. What did they not do? They don't talk about corridor ID. They don't have any vision for the future. Those are the things that we're calling out, and the media likes to take that, right? So there is consideration for passenger rail. And additionally, we had folks at our Ohio Rail Development Commission meeting. Public comment, Stu was there. I was online. Public comment was set for 10 minutes. You know how long it took? 45 minutes. That only happens because we were in the news. Also, the tone was completely different in the meeting because we were in the news. The press showed up. So, in terms of the Cardinal, I don't have specific answers. I bet Jim probably knows a bit more than I would. Yeah.
I know a little bit, but since Roger Harris is here at lunch, maybe
Ooh, great.
Roger's
Yeah.
the right person to talk about.
Specifically ask about the Cardinal, please. Let's get a quote.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike, and I was curious. Polling suggests that the next governor is likely to be Vivek.
Mm-hmm.
What is his position, and what are you doing at this point in time to lay the groundwork for hopefully some positive things to occur?
So we are feeling relatively optimistic. Actually, our executive director had like 45-minute one-on-one with him about it. So I cannot speak things into existence. I can pray. I know as something that we're seeing right now is a lot of the times it's a game of chance sometimes, right? With whatever's trending on Twitter. And so we're all aware of that. And just our goal is to get ahead of things. And really what our goal is, I'm sure everybody in this room, or at least 90% of the people in this room, remember when the Ohio 3C&D was killed by our governor, John Kasich, back at the end of the 2000s, right? One of the messaging tracks that we're using is, we can't blow this again. Because nearly everybody you talk to says that was a mistake. And so if we're able to rally those 80% of Ohioans that, again, all are in lockstep on the fact that this is a good thing, and we are able to harness that, it becomes a lot more difficult to go and politically push against it. So, yeah.
So I think that's going to be it. But you're here all day, right?
I'm here all day.
So, and I'm gonna exercise the CEO's privilege here for a second. This is exactly what we've been trying to get done for the past 11 years. We need folks to come up from the grassroots and do what Mitch is doing. And we're starting to see this happen. We're seeing it at SART. We're seeing it all over Ohio. We're seeing it in the Pacific Northwest. This is what we need to have happen. So, we started the morning talking about sharing lessons, and Mitch has asked you point blank, give me your lessons. Share yours. We'll give you ours. But this is the point of this meeting, and this is why we are at the place that we are right now, is because of this kind of work. So just one more round of applause, please, for Mitch. Great.
And for Ryan for Ryan and for the rest of the team, because my goodness, again, find those people.
Find those people. Find the people with the passion, right? So